first thing, let me make a few announcements. One, obviously the merchandise is in. Some of it is in.
Most of it is in except the field bags. Some of the field bags.
I mean, when we, yeah. We'll talk about that just before break, and you can pick stuff up and settle up with Sue and so forth. Turned out really nicely, I think. I'm happy with it. Second thing is everybody should have gotten this is your bag. And in your bag came the latest issue of the Illinois Steward. And inside are handouts. In your handouts are the schedule and the first activity called Curiosity Cabinet. So make sure you got that. There's a booklet called the Emiquon Story. This is the Thompson Lake Emiquon Story. This is not just a freebie. You'll see. Nothing is free around here. Everything comes with a price. You have a thing called Sketching Trees, which we'll talk about later. And you should have a folder with all the handouts for this week in it. We won't worry about those until we...
Just the drawing handout.
Oh, the drawing handouts. Sue's has her own. And we also have this flyer. The Natural History Survey, we publish field guides, and in your honor, our collections, our salesperson said she would give you a sale of $5 off all field guides for Emiquon Corps of Discovery members. So, just another commercial.
Are we going to get to keep these?
Yes.
These, I tell you, I painted this and I painted a picture back there. This is the only stuff I use. I just love them because you can take them with you.
Yep.
They are so cool and they're hard to find around us.
Yes, they are. We ordered them in
you.
mass. And you also got a copy of Sand County Almanac with a piece of paper inside. So make sure the paper and the book stay together. Important a little bit later. Okay. So the plan for today is we're going. At least I hope we're going to do some outdoor activities, weather permitting. If not, we're going to do some outdoor activities, weather permitting. We'll see. Yeah. If not, then we'll. Fortunately, we have a museum here, which kind of, lightens the load on us keeping everything in track. On track. Let's see. Okay, those of you I see a lot of you are working. A good thing. Okay, and those of you that aren't working, that will shame you into working. Hopefully, by the end of the class, we'll need 4 or 5 tables to get everybody's work done. And I noticed that the activities, from what I see, it's working. Okay, if you do the activities and things, it will help you and it will work. Bill, you want to introduce yourself just for the yucks? You got 1 minute, so they know who you are.
Bill Whitehouse.
Yeah,
This is Bill Whitehouse. He's the
unofficial official head of the Corps of Discovery, Emiquon Corps of Discovery.
head of, yeah.
That's basically it. With the help of a lot of people. Jane has been doing a lot with programming. Michelle Cremona, who isn't here, has been doing a lot of stuff. Kelvin and Mike Wyatt are wonderful with supporting us with Dickson Mounds Museum. The Corps is, as I was asked earlier, we're a definite not-for-profit. We have no funding whatsoever. We're just a group of people that come together to try to record the changes going on in this area. Originally it was with Nature Conservancy and the Emiquon Preserve. We've let that just sort of broaden and move around a certain amount. A lot more work with Dickson Mounds. Mike and Kelvin and Amanda are working hard to develop the third floor, a section of the third floor where we can put a display up. They're also working on an online gallery so that we can, all this wonderful work you guys are doing will be able to be put online. That means that Nature Conservancy, Fish and Wildlife Service, Natural History Survey, Dickson Mounds, all can access that material and be able to use it. It's just a whole bunch of concepts. We started out in 2005, we went for about 2006, and things sort of drifted off. The two people that formed it were Joe Scogland and Julie Barr, now Lazur. They drifted on to other things, and then just a little over a year ago, some idiot who's standing in front of you said, "We need leadership," and the next thing I knew, those people that were present at the meeting had taken 2 steps backwards. However, they have then stepped forward and done a lot to make this work. Oh, and I left out Diana, our secretary. My goodness, I can't do a meeting without her.
And Diana is, we have 2 people that have taken the class 3 times, and Diana is one of them, so.
I'm a slow learner.
And basically, we meet the 3rd Saturday here at Dickson Mounds, unless we have some other kind of event going. And I've got to get with Jane and find out exactly what we are doing and what we aren't doing. I used to work for Fulton County Rehab Center as a program director, working with adults with developmental disabilities. I am now retired, so I have supposedly more time. I think I find I have less time to do things. But please, as you go through this wonderful thing, and Sue and Michael have done a wonderful job developing these cores, and as you go through this, please consider continuing on with it and meeting with us as we go on.
The 3rd Saturday.
3rd Saturday, yeah. The other thing too is there will be no June meeting because you guys are going to be here, and I got my arm twisted by those people who need a 2nd time or 3rd time through the training that they wouldn't be available to do anything. But we're going to have a work day on the 3rd floor sometime in June, and I'd like you to be thinking about that. If you can communicate with me by email. I think most of you I've gotten are on my email list. If not, I need to get that from Kelvin.
Yep, Kelvin has it.
Make certain I have that. Just email it to me, and then I'll get them on the master list, and you'll get copies of the minutes and anything else that's going on. But we do need to set a date for that.
Okay, thank you.
I've taken enough of your time
All
already.
right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
He mentioned email. We have back here a list with your name and phone number and email. If you could check that to make sure it's correct, we would appreciate it. So I'll just leave it right here.
The other thing is, most of you have figured out Facebook, okay? And the person that you've been dealing with, Jen Mui, she's my assistant right now. And she's the techie who's dealing with Facebook, and she assures you, those of you that are worried about privacy and the Facebook issues, if you just give us your name and email, we're not selling your list, anywhere else. So, and she's been communicating. I think you and her are like buddies now. But make sure that you go ahead and get on this, and it will work. The other thing is, everybody also should have a colorless blender. We figured it's a very colorful lot, so we're giving you a colorless blender kind of thing. The other thing is, one of our major expenses is, believe it or not, is paper clips. So whenever we clip everything, if you don't mind giving them back to us, they just want them. So everybody can recycle their paper clips, and you spend $70, $80 a year on paper clips. So it helps if you can recycle it for us. Okay. To begin today, I think it's appropriate of where we are. We're in a museum. And the first activity that we're going to talk about is kind of dealing with museums, and it's an activity that you can do. And I've got some very interesting quotes here. This is from from Rebecca McClanahan, who wrote a book about Georgia O'Keeffe. And Georgia O'Keeffe collected objects. bleached bones, skulls, feathers, shells, and stones. You ever seen any Georgia O'Keeffe? She called them her treasures, and they filled her studio and her canvases. When she left New Mexico to return east, she created a barrel of bones to accompany her. Later, the contents of the barrel provided the raw material for the famous cow skull paintings. The background was provided by the blue pajamas of her friend's young son. Okay? So, who cares? What does that mean? Well, here's another one. Audubon, 1819, wrote, almost every day I usually made for the fields. My little basket went with me and came back full of birds' nests, or birds' eggs, nests, lichens, flowers, and pebbles, and massive amounts of dead birds. She shot. Different time. The other thing is, I come from the Natural History Survey. The Natural History Survey has the 8th or 9th largest insect collection in the United States and 10th largest in the world. About almost 9 million specimens, and I come from a collections background. And Nancy Pick, in a very elegant little book, which I'll bring next week, wrote, the specimens, most dried, canned, or pickled in alcohol, filled innumerable bottles, boxes, drawers, and cabinets. They are the world distilled. Right? So we can tell you more about the natural history of Illinois by looking back through our collections than most people say, oh look, it's a bunch of dead insects, you know? All right. So given that background, you can put the lights down, Michael, thank you. The activity that we're going to do today is about collecting. We're all collectors. A life accumulates a collection. If you don't believe it, look in your garage, look in your attic. We are all curators of various levels of expertise, and every morsel of the past is useful. You ever watch this show, Hoarders, on TV?
Yeah.
Some of those things are little, we can always go beyond what is useful, but by and large, everything is useful. So, during this class and this activity, we want you to look for things that make you not the same. In other words, things that you don't have right now that will make you different. Okay? And the name of this activity is called Treasures in Nature, which a little bit, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with this, the old curiosity cabinet. It's not an old song. It's an activity that happened in the 17th to the 19th century, and they were literally cabinets. You got to remember, at this time in the world, we didn't know a lot about the world because everything was kind of insular. This was the age of exploration, and ships would come back and they would have holds full of interesting things, and people collected those. They coveted them. They actually sent on expeditions. And they would actually build wood and glass cabinets to house their collections of oddities, curiosities, and most of these were natural history type objects. Some people got a little excessive. This is, instead of a cabinet curiosity, this is a cabinet room. This kind of looks like our house, actually. This is my little. And this was really popular in Italy and England, and actually there were several castles in 18th, 19th century Italy that were nothing but giant cabinets of curiosities. So, what do we care? The philosophy was simple. They wanted to learn about things, and they thought that by having the object, it would help them toward this universal knowledge that they. So here's a old cabinet of curiosity from 18th century Italy, and you see it's just a collection of things. Okay, just of things accumulated over time. So, besides documenting simply where and when the objects were found, the collectors often, and almost were required, they wrote short descriptions that accompanied each object. In other words, it had provenance. Anybody watch Antique Roadshow? An object without provenance has very greatly diminished value. We don't know what. Somebody hands Michael an artifact, and the first thing that comes out of his mind is, where'd you find it? Right? And when did you get it? Otherwise, it's nothing, right? It's just a piece of something. So, They kept them in catalogs, you know, these big leather tomes, or in cabinets right with the object, or they were placed near them. Okay, here's, oh, what the heck is wrong with my projector this morning? Very dark. All right, the individual cabinets were often centered on a theme. The odder the materials and the collections, the better they liked them. Anybody ever been to the Modern Museum in Philadelphia? It's a disturbing place, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's human oddities, you know. It was one, but based on one gentleman's collection of cabinet of curiosities. Okay, over time, the larger the collections of objects accumulated, and they eventually were brought together. And we now call these cabinets of curiosity museums, because over time they accumulated, people stopped doing it, they put them all in one place. And here's a cabinet of curiosity from the 20th century. You can see up here, obviously. Up to here, it could be 19th, 18th, 17th, but, you know, the Pokemon and Winnie the Pooh and all those sorts of things. All right. Okay, I come from the LMI Natural History Survey, and we have our